Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to what will hopefully be the grand finale of the Bang Shishigami project, where last time we did nothing to the model itself. Instead, we started transforming the base I've been using the entire time up to this point, because it was actually literally the right size, if by chance or nothing else, into kind of more of a cobblestone pathway. So today's goal is to turn this into stone and see if we can make that possible. So before we get started, although it's nice seeing Bang up here, we're gonna exit him off to this. Wow, you got kind of stuck in here. I'm gonna move him off to the side real quick. Give me a second. Alright, I'm back. He is safe to the side, and we're gonna see if we can turn this into an actual stone pathway. Now, I've never had to do this before, so everything I'm thinking of right now is pretty much all theoretical. And this could be really good. This could wind up just being a flop. We're gonna find out in the end. So, first thing I want to do is, now we're gonna be using actually a lot of coats of paint and whatnot over everything. So I brought my good friend here, the hair dryer, if I need to dry stuff out real quick to kind of go between coats. If I might be mixing things wet on top of here. I'm not sure how, but I have stuff at the ready because I know there's going to be a lot of layers going on top of this. So the overarching goal I have in doing this is I want to put a base coat over everything, which is going to wind up being just the mortar in the end. And that's going to wind up being, I've been kind of looking at images. Depending where you go, it can either be lighter or darker. So I'm going to have kind of more of an earthy kind of mortar tone in here. Figure stuff's been sitting in there. All the junk gets kind of stuck in there. So I'm going to have kind of a mix between maybe the gray and brown. Give it kind of really kind of an earthy look for all the border lines. I'm going to do that over everything. After that's done, if I'm going with the volcanic rock theme, if you're looking at, like, say, a granite or like a rhyolite or something like that, I'm not really going to go basaltic. That's a little too dark. So let's just say it's going to be like, I want to say it's rhyolite is the kind of in-between color one. And that's mostly going to be built out of feldspar, quartz, and hornblende with other kind of things running. It's like sulfur in there, kind of manganese or whatever it can kind of be found in there. But the main one of that is usually kind of your feldspar, which is going to be, again, more of kind of a grayish tone over everything. And then from there, if you've ever done tile, you want to like randomly arrange stuff, I'll give you a hint. Random isn't random. When we do tile work and things kind of have, it's going to look random, but it's going to be kind of a controlled random look. On some areas, some stone's going to be darker, and others some going to be lighter. So I'm going to do a base tone of kind of like a gray or a gray mix kind of over everything. Then we're going to like selectively darken or lighten some of these in here, and then after that, things go a little crazy. Because if you want to have like some of the hornblende elements, you want to have some of like the sulfur element. The hornblende is going to be kind of your darker colors, like your blacks or whatever kind of thing. If you want a little more quartz, you're going to have like kind of a shiny whitish, kind of milky white kind of colors in here. If you want more of like a sulfur stuff, it's going to be kind of shiny yellow things in here. If you want your manganese, it's going to be more of a red. It's going to give you kind of that rust look. So to get the little kind of highlights that are going to make these feel like stone, ideally I would have kind of the just powdered colors around, and you can kind of sprinkle that on as need be, and that would give you those kind of little highlight things. I don't have that. All I have are wet paints. I don't have just raw pigment to use, because ideally you would get that, you kind of put on your brush, and you can kind of fleck it on to the surface as need be, and that'll give you like the little shiny flecks. So in order to simulate that effect with the wet paint that I have, the only way I can think of doing this is I have some, it says repellent, this is actually just straight water. I reuse bottles a lot, but we have water in here. So what I can do is I can take a mix of, say, I want like a gray on there, or I can put that in here, and I can dilute the heck out of this. I'm going to be pouring water in here so it breaks up all the pigments so they're not all together. It'll be more spread out. And then I can just do a wash over the areas I want, and that will hopefully give the same effect as kind of flecking the pigments on, if I can then kind of break the pigments apart through dilution. So this is going to be my hope as this thing goes on, but I think that's the stage where this is actually going to look like something. Otherwise it's probably going to be a little bit of a muddy mess until we get to the back half of this session. So that's been a lot of talking. Let's actually do some things. So like I said, I want to have the mortar mix I'm looking at is going to be, I'm going to keep this a matte color. So let's, rather than just mess up my bottle by pouring it out the wrong side, we're going to go pour some stuff in here. We're going to, like I said, we're going to start with that. Oh, I think I brought all my painting stuff back up here. I kind of took all these things out when I was doing my Dremel stuff before for pretty obvious reasons. And I'm mixing the dark gray with, I guess I have raw sienna here. Let's see what this turns into. If I need it a little lighter, I have stuff to add with. I don't have my little stirring sticks on me. 1 second. All right, there we go. We got stirring sticks. Yeah, good start. Final episode. I've only done this, what's this, 42 times? Let's see if we can get things right. Yeah, there we go. We got a nice little kind of brownish color going. I'm going to add just like a drop or two of black just to kind of, like I said, I think I want this to just read a hair darker than the stuff around. Little more black than, not too much black, but it's very easy to go overboard in the black. I found that out. So let's just go a little bit more. Okay, we're kind of backward. The earthy color, we're a little kind of grayer. This is kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, the good thing with this is nothing needs to be neat on this. There is not a single part of this that has to be done neatly. So we can just kind of slather stuff on here. So I can either do a wash over the whole thing, or I can just kind of roughly go inside. And yeah, let's just do the, I'm going to do the nice kind of neat, gentle way first. Again, I can get this thing on top of the rocks. It doesn't matter. We're going to be covering all this stuff up. So there is no reason to be nice, neat, and orderly about this. These things are going to get very many coats of stuff, and I would like to get this all done in some kind of timely fashion. I'm sure there are art people watching this going, "What am I doing? This is terrible." But this is kind of experimenting, and this is how we find out how things work. So if it works on this, that's cool. If it doesn't work on this, that's also going to be cool. We'll learn stuff from it. You don't need to be good to be an example. One of those key rules that people say to make you feel good about things not going well. Yeah, now, if I do some more tweaks after this, like I said, my goal is for this, and I realize now we're several minutes in, so most people who usually watch these things, thank you for being the faithful who go this far. I know a number of people don't, but just for you who have made it this far, there may be a super secret additional video being put out the same day as this one. I might have 2 going out. So if I don't get everything 100% and I need to kind of tweak things a bit, I may go and do a second one. It'll be shorter. It'll definitely be shorter in duration. It will go out the same day. This project will finish on Sunday. I'm not going to finish a project on Monday. That's just not going to happen. So if I do need little tweaks, there will be a final reveal of everything at that point. So keep an eye out. There might be 2 videos coming out. One along with this. I might have this one may go live like it usually does at like midnight. The other one I may have go live maybe slightly later, just so they're not both right on top of each other. But I might do it like sometime like 10 o'clock in the morning or something, or like at noon or something like that. But just be warned, there may be a little something. That's also going to depend. Like I said, I have stuff coming in the mail theoretically tomorrow, and if it does, that would make this even better. Because hopefully, oh wow, this is reading really good on my little postcard size image I'm looking at my computer. But I have a capture card coming in the mail tomorrow, which, yeah, this is being recorded on Thursday. I have a capture card coming in tomorrow. Saturday I can't do anything. Saturday I am doing stuff the whole day, and it's going to be good fun stuff. So my goal is, after this, like I said, I'm doing the Valkyria Chronicles character next time, or when I start the next project. So I'm thinking of simultaneously, rather than have maybe 5 days a week of just doing the model stuff like I've been doing, I might switch things up and have several days a week of actually playing the game, recording it, and several days of actually modeling. How it's going to break down exactly, I'm not sure yet, but that's kind of the direction I'm going. Get a little bit of both worlds going in, so you can actually understand who the characters are and whatnot. They're really good games. It's probably going to be Valkyria Chronicles 4 that I'd play. I liked one. I really did that one, but I've more recently played 4. That was probably like 5 years ago or so. But it's one of those, outside of a couple key scenarios, I really forget almost everything. I don't even know the main character's name. So I think for me it would be fun. It's not a blind playthrough, but at the same time, my memory of it is so scarce that it might as well be a blind playthrough. I know key events and whatnot, but like individual battles and whatnot, there are a couple that stand out in my mind, but all in all, it would all be generally fresh. Strategies and all that I have to use would all be fresh. So might be doing that, and that would be starting up next week. So like, I will still take 2 weeks off of the modeling end of things, but figure I would be doing that I'd be starting that figure next week, just playing the game then for the 2 weeks. Then after that, I would start actually doing the modeling end of things. Okay, because I'm on top of things, let's go and get some fresh water over here, not to mix stuff with, but because I need to clean out the brushes, and I also didn't pull out... I'm all bad. Might be nice to be able to dry the brush on something as well. But okay, we have... crap. I'm cleaning out a brush, and I already realized I missed you. Good start. I am scatterbrained today. I'm also very tired today, which hasn't helped. Usually, if I'm doing these recordings on a weekday, I will come home, I'll have dinner, I'll do a recording, and then by that point, the food digests, and I'll go and I'll do a workout afterwards, and then kind of do my news reading and all that, whatever I'm doing afterwards, kind of relax the rest of the night. Well, this time I did the workout first, and now I'm feeling it. So my legs are a little tired right now at the moment. Okay, so we have that. So next, we want to put the base layer of kind of like that, I'm going to call it slate gray. It's not really slate gray, feldspar gray, over everything. And I'm actually might be able to go with just the... No. I want to use the foam brush on this, because the idea I'm going, now this may or may not work, is if this is wide enough and I just do a light pass over everything, it will get all of this surface stuff, It will cover some of the grout lines in here, but it will miss a number of the grout lines as well in theory. So I'm trying to find a way that is time-wise economical to get all this stuff done. And I'm going to say, pardon me for just a sec, but we're going to see what we can do to kind of dry this out real quick, because I don't need this part to blend in with everything else. Yeah, I don't need, oh, there it goes on the ground. I don't need that to blend in with everything else. This can stay as is. As we start doing future layers, those can blend in. But this I would like to keep just as it is. Let's see, the gray might be a little on the darker side, so I'm just gonna, again, we're gonna bring it back a little more earthy tones. I'm not gonna mix it with the white. Let's go, I have a mocha and I have a natural buff. Let's go the natural buff. It's like an off-white color. Just a little bit to kind of bring that back. And once again, this is going to be another matte finish one. If only because I want the sparkly parts on here, the parts that we're really kind of diluting, I want those to be the, whatchamacallit, I want those kind of be the highlight. Those can be the satin or the metallic or whatever finish. I want those to shine. This base part of it, I don't need to shine as much. Okay, that was probably way too much. That was probably way too much. I can use the old thing on here. Again, these don't really matter. Okay, that's not too bad. I like that. It's like a light gray, which is good. Which is good because for some reason when I first bought the paint things, I bought like a set of matte and I bought a set of satin. And I've been kind of buying individual other colors to kind of deal with that. And the set only came with dark gray. So, alright, so now we're going to find out how well or not well this master plan works when I try doing this. Actually, it's not going too badly. We're getting some white spots in there, but again, we're going to be doing multiple coats on like everything. So I don't want to push this in to get all those white spots, because that's just going to then get more on top of the grout marks. But the idea is I'm just getting roughly on top of the top layer of all this stuff. Yeah, again, we're at that point where nothing has to be perfect. I remember I was saying this a lot during the early phases of the model. It's like, at this point of the thing, it's not finalized. Nothing has to be perfect yet. Well, we're the same on this. We're doing our first coats right now. This part does not have to be perfect. So, there we go. We're already looking very stonish, so I'm okay with that. That said, this brush is now completely donezo and ruined forever, because these don't get washed out. But I've also had this set that it came with forever, never used it, so that's fine. That is okie dokie. Alright, so on this one I'm also not really kind of mixing stuff with, so once again, pardon the noise. Okay, so how are we doing on time? We're 20 minutes. 20 minutes in. I spent like 10 minutes for like talking at the start, I think. And we are turning into something. I can always come back like at the end and detail out or redo some of... I have enough of the grout stuff here. Let me actually put the grout one just in plastic right now, because I can come back at the very end of this with like a very fine brush and just retouch up those grout marks as need be. That said, this gray is now donezo forever, because where did I put that? I put that over here. Because now we're going to be adding stuff to this. Again, we want some things lighter and we want some things darker. We want to build a little bit of chain, a little bit of, not texture, there's a word I'm looking for. But we want to change it up just a little bit for things. Randomness, there we go. So let's add a little bit more of this. Get a stirring stick. Okay, now we can come back with what kind of brushes do I have? I have a lot of my fine brushes in here. Let's grab one. We don't need a super fine brush for this. We can use something that's a little bit wider. Again, we're just now I can be a little neater on some of these things. If there are any kind of white spots on here, get them out. Yeah, this is where, when we're doing tiling, we say, if you want like a random design, let's say, or if we're doing a floor, like a kind of a pergo floor or something, and you have, let's use a tile example, it's easier. Usually you have about maybe 8 tiles per box. And let's say you're getting, it's like the marble kind of look, or something has like kind of, you have dark sections, you have light sections, you have all this type of stuff going on. So usually you have 2 choices. You can either try to make a pattern, which most people usually don't really want to do that, but where you can kind of line up literally like an entire shower or something before you even start laying off a single tile. Or what we usually do is we'll open up like maybe 3 boxes, you have like 20 tiles kind of laying out, and we put them all up against like a wall, and then we say, okay, out of these 20 tiles you have some that have like a lot of really dark areas, some that have a lot of really light areas, and some that are kind of neutral. And so you look at it and you go, okay, well, there's, say, 8 of these are kind of neutral, 6 of them have a lot of dark spots, and another 10 of them have like a lot of these kind of light spots. So if that's how this being proportionately laid out on these individual tiles, now we can go, and when we put things on the wall, we can kind of proportionally apply these tiles like that, so you don't wind up with like 3 light ones in a row or some such. So this is why we say when we do stuff like that, or if you're like laying floor down or whatnot, we say, yeah, random isn't random. We're trying to evenly distribute. Each individual piece may look random, but it's kind of, you try to distribute things a little more evenly throughout, so you don't wind up with the same of like several things in a row, because that doesn't look too good. If all of a sudden, if I have like 3 of these tiles in a row, yes, if I were to 100% randomly distribute it, you will wind up with areas that have like 2, 3, 4 of like the exact same type next to each other, because that is a function of how random works. But that also doesn't look good. So need to take a little bit of care in trying to distribute stuff so it looks random even if it's not. And that's all I'm kind of going for here, is kind of using gut instinct to kind of say, okay, well, it looks like we're due for a light one at this point. It looks like we're due for another one over here, and just kind of, again, we're hodgepodging it in. The nice part with having this be a stone look is it's kind of expected that it's going to have this kind of rough feel to it. So I'm not feeling terrible about that. Let's actually bring, I should have brought some of these colors down as I did this. But I will wind up painting the edge with something. That might wind up being like a black or something in the end. Not 100% sure. So stuff like that, if I don't get things like a detail like that done today, that's kind of what I'm talking about with I might come back with my super secret special video that people who haven't stayed this long would know about. But it would just kind of be like, it would be a little bit of an encore kind of a last hurrah for the Banks Shishigami project that I think would be fitting for it. I got plans. Kind of. I like to think that I have plans. It may not actually be the case. Okay, so we have a number of kind of light spots. We're getting a little bit of a mix on that, so that's fine. All right, we don't need to clean up the brush because I'm just going to use the brush again anyway. I was going to mix some black in there. I was like, I can either go black or I can go, we can go our earthy kind of tone and do, rather than black, add a little bit of brown to it. See how that works. Okay, that brought us a little closer to what we had at the start. Maybe we do just want a touch of black. Not too much, but and just a little bit more of the brown. I feel like we're kind of back to where we started. Last little flick didn't really do a whole lot in there, but the other good thing is I'm adding quantity back to this, so I'm not going to run out of stuff. Okay, we're going to see, does this actually change anything? And the answer is no. That did not change a whole lot of anything. So I either need more black or more brown or something. I think just so it doesn't feel completely slate gray, we're going to keep kind of doing this brown until the brown kind of feels like it's adding a little bit of something to it. Maybe I can go deep. I can add a little burgundy or something to it. Why not? I have the color. Whoa, that decided to come out way more than I wanted to. All right, well. Well, these are redder. Okay. That is much better than I want, but that, again, that squirted out way more than I wanted it to, so. Okay, that's not bad. I'm okay with that. Again, our goal is variety. And the more of the white that I can have disappear, the better. So we're going to need to pull this back into gray, I think, or a little more towards the gray on the next color we do with this. And just looking at this, I think it's going to need another color because now we have a gray, a light gray, and a red. So I almost need something else to help balance out kind of this much more reddish color. But overall, I'm not disliking this, so that's kind of like the same as liking it, maybe. Alright. We getting there. I said, at least it looks like a stone thing. I think. Again, on the preview that I'm looking at on the computer, which is, again, it's about like 2 inches by 4 inches. So as almost a thumbnail size image, it's looking not too bad. I've said stuff like that before, and I look at the full video afterwards, and it's like, ooh, is that what it was? Well, that's interesting. Oh, I had already painted that one light. Didn't even realize. Well, it's red now. It's red now. Alright. That's cool. I feel like I'm missing something down this direction. Okay, we need to tone this thing. Tone this down with... yeah, we're going to go back to our burnt sienna, raw sienna. That's not going to do anything. If we want to counteract this, I want something a little more to counteract it with. And I think this will be the last of these kind of random colors going on. And then we're going to... Okay, that gives us kind of a little bit of a transition between that red and the grays. And then after this, then we can move on to the next step. That's already light. What the? How do I get stuff on there? I am tactfully choosing pieces that have like a lot of white or something kind of still showing on it, so I can kind of cover up some of that white. It's kind of a part of the plan. It's almost like I have a plan. And believe me, I have not planned any of this thing out beforehand. We are pretty well ad-libbing this whole thing as we go. Like I said, I kind of have a rough idea of what I want this to look like in the end, but I'm not 100% sure how to get there. So we are doing one of those make it up as we go. But the nice part with the rock stuff is we don't have to be super neat over everything. Again, I can re-go over these mortar lines. I did put that in plastic, so I'm not worried about accidentally hitting the mortar stuff. We can deal with that. That is easy. That is like the least of the problems. And my guess was this was going to look really rough at this stage, and then I'm hoping once I add kind of the sparkle stuff, that will help bring this all together. That kind of like the washes of color. Because the wash I'm going to do over everything, and I'm hoping that will help blend a lot of these desperate colors and kind of at least bring them under the same roof. Because you put like a wash, say, of like a really pale white or something on top of it, that'll give it all kind of that look. If you put like a wash like a really kind of light black or something over it, it'll give you a little more kind of uniform look over all the stuff. So it's kind of what I'm hoping for. Get all these different elements kind of under one roof. I don't think we're doing terrible on time right now, so that's nice. Because my goal is to be able to pop bang back on here at the end so we can see how this all works together. And how this does or does not work with his own color scheme. Because again, in the end, this should kind of complement him. So, would be great if it did. Not going to guarantee it's going to, but it would be nice. Okay, well, we have a pretty good mixture. We have something going on there. I just want to need something for in here. I need to add, I don't know what it is, but that's not working. So, da, 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 da. I'm not sure light is the way to go. Let's go back to my gray. Just add a little bit more, just enough so it's not 100% the same color going on to that. And now I'm just kind of doing my final check of like, all right, I can see 1, 2, 3 are the same. I can see here, I have like right there is the same. The rest looks okay. So as long as I can break up something in here, so that area just doesn't feel 100% the same. And same with this. Say maybe this area doesn't feel 100%. That circle now has at least, it's broken a little bit. So, okay. Everywhere else looks like there's quote unquote randomly applied. But everything is now, like I said, it's all very stark differences between these colors. We are going to start to bring this all back together again. Hopefully, maybe. Like I said, this part I kind of knew, I kind of had a game plan what I was doing. Now we are strictly making this up as we go as a theoretical exercise. I know in theory how this is going to work, but I have never done this in my life. So, like I said, we're all going to learn. We are all going to learn from this. But that's what makes it fun. If we knew the answer to everything, it wouldn't be exciting. This is why I stopped watching. I used to like be really into watching speedruns and whatnot of the way back in the day when kind of videos were first coming out of people doing stuff. And then I kind of got over that phase. I just enjoy watching people play stuff now in the background. Because usually if I'm on the computer, I'll have like stuff something on in the background. And usually now it's just community of people just playing whatever they want, just to have fun with it. I have more fun that way than just watching things be perfect all the time. Okay, you know what? I have the 2 cups. I do reuse the bottom cups when I double cup this. I think I've used some things, like I said, that have dissolved through over time, but okay, so now we want to add a little bit of sparkling stuff. So if we're going to add, so let's say I want to have more of a quartz kind of look going on here, we're going to use, that's usually kind of more of a milky white. I'm not going to say it's a stark white, so I'm going to use the vanilla for that. If you want to have more like the hornblende stuff in there, that's going to be more of the black. Again, we're going the satins on these, so they should have a little bit of shine to them. I don't have metallics of these types of colors. And then I may do a third wash with just the straight up metallic nickel on here, just to give it an overall kind of shine. But this is where, like I said, I don't know how well or not this is going to go. I have used this one on something. It was used as a blend on the project for definitely something. I forget what. So now we have a little bit of that in here. We're going to take our water and time to add a whole bunch. I might need more than that. And let me get myself the cleaner stirring stick. And actually, you know what? Before I do anything else, before I actually get to that, what I should do is I should actually get rid of some of these white spots in here. So I'm just going to take some of this gray, and even if it doesn't match the colors 100%, just get rid of some of these white spots. We don't want them. And it's going to be much easier doing it now before I do the washes on it than after. In fact, I don't even know if it's going to be possible to do it after and still maintain the effect of the wash. So just a second on this part. At least I've definitely perked up since the start of this. Like I said, usually I do my runs and stuff for later at night. Today, I've done everything has been kind of either zone 2 or kind of slow distance endurance kind of things. Today I just wanted something fast. I was like, I don't care about distance. I don't care about the endurance. Just do something fast. So I pulled the bike out, and because I was doing the bike, I had to do it right after work, and so it was a really, really late dinner. But no, I got about, it was a 12, I have like a 12-mile kind of sprint loop in my area that I can kind of do. I've done it a number of times, and got just shy of that 20-mile-an-hour mark. Couldn't quite get the 20. I got like 19.8 miles per hour, so I was close. But for me, that's actually not too bad, so I'll take it. The Pomeranian race may have been a thing, but at least just seeing something like this tells me, no, I am in shape. That's also with my legs being kind of sore from the lunge stuff I've been doing. Because the last run after I did that on Tuesday, I think this is being done on a Thursday. After the run I did, I went and did 200 lunges, which got me about 250 yards or whatever. So I didn't quite get as far as I wanted to, but that was also the second time doing that in a week. And now I did try to do a fast bike ride on quads that weren't great. So all things considered, I actually think it worked out pretty good. Hopefully next time I can get like up to 250 or something. I should be able to do a quarter mile worth of lunges. I should be able to do that. That shouldn't be an issue. So we're going to aim for that after either Saturday or Sundays. Probably if I have time in the evening on Saturday to do one, I might do it, but it's probably going to be Sunday's workout, where it's going to be the next attempt at doing those. I'm hoping for twice a week on that, but because I'm down to, the race is now only about 7 weeks away, so I have only about 5 weeks worth of time I can actually prep for it, because the final 2 weeks I am a little more in don't be dumb mode, don't pull anything, don't injure myself, kind of let the body recoup, relax. So the last 2 weeks I do not put down in my head as like quote-unquote practice weeks. Those are times to recover. So that said, I only have now 5 weeks to get ready for pretty much the hardest obstacle course race in the country that I know of anyway. And after Pomeranian wasn't looking too good, but today's ride does make me feel a lot better. Maybe Pomeranian was just a fluke, and it was just like the heat. It wasn't heat stroke, but whatever. There's the word for it. I'm drawing a blank on the word. That's great. Heat exhaustion. That's it. Maybe that one was just the heat exhaustion, which got me. Although if I can't do a quarter mile worth of lunges, and yeah, my legs probably weren't in shape either. I wasn't properly fitnessed enough for that. But, oh well. Water under the bridge at this point. We are moving forward. Okay, so we got vast majority, at least those bad spots, are now out of the way. That was a mat. You go back over here. You want to be cleaned. No, don't put it in there. Oh, let's see. Would now actually be... Maybe this would actually be the good time as well, before we get to that, to touch up. I really want to get to these washes. I'm really curious how these washes are going to turn out in the end. But at the same time, I really should do my back of house stuff first here. of getting some of these areas to read correctly. If I want a grout line, because again, after the washes go on, anything you do on top of a wash is going to read way too clearly to be nice. So there is at least a little bit of order of operations that has to go on with this. I feel like I'm sealing grout right now. Which is adding like a very kind of liquidy substance to the grout you have that then fills in all the grout spaces and makes it waterproof. This is not all that dissimilar. Again, I could be doing this all refined and make it this, that, and the other pretty, but I think in the end this rougher look is going to be okay. If it's not, it's not. That's, like I said, this is all kind of one big experiment. And at the end of the day, this is also just a base. So I can come back later on my own volition and my own time and really kind of touch this stuff up. Kind of really get all the way in here, get exactly how I want. This is just paint. Paint is easy to touch up like that. It's the type of work here that would be really easy to do. We're just getting our grout lines to be visible again. Otherwise, had a fun time coming home last night from, like I said, as I said before, usually on Wednesday nights were generally my off nights. Somehow that got changed up in like the last month or so, where I have this habit now of going to my parents' place because they just live not too far from me on Wednesday nights after work, have dinner, kind of catch up on all the stuff. And so I'm driving home from their place, and there's a stretch of road not that far out, and there are 3 deer out in front. It's a doe and 2 fawns, and I love seeing the fawns. They're just always like this boingy, boingy, boingy kind of guys, and they're always excited. And they're going and crossing the road, and they kind of see they're like 90% of the way across, and they see me and stop. Just like the doe is right on the side, and the 2 fawns are kind of right in the middle, and they just stop. So of course I stop the truck. I can't go anywhere. They just kind of look at me, and they're staring. And I'm just still kind of parked there. And then they go, the doe was just about to head off the side, turns, and all 3 of them start walking up the middle of the road. And I'm just like stopped there going, oh my goodness, really? You're being a bad example for your children. That's not where you're supposed to go. You're old enough to know this by now. Right down the middle, not to one side, not to the other, no, right down the middle of the road. So I'm just like parked there and waiting. They walk a little further, I kind of pull up a little bit, and then nice. Eventually they made their way off to the side, but it's like, really? Ay. I love living out kind of the woodsy country area. It's great. Wildlife is always something. It doesn't quite do what you expect it to. I know on the bike, the deer definitely hold their ground. If you come near one of them on there, at least during the day, they're kind of super skittish if you go by on a bike. If you're going by a little more either like early morning or kind of towards the evening, or usually if you're running kind of in the evening, I'm not going to say biking, but if I'm like running in the evening or whatnot, like during the day, they're skittish. But you go running by them at night, and they don't move. They might be 5 feet away, like off on the side, just a little stare at you as you go by. It's like once it starts getting nocturnal, they own the space, and you do not belong. And it's kind of great. Everyone has their place. It's like, okay, don't mess with the deer at night. Got it. They will not relinquish their ground. But and they get bigger as you get close to them too. Those things can ruin your day if they wanted to. They're generally super friendly, but they can also ruin your day if they really wanted to. But the fawns are so cute. So I'm sitting there in the car and it's like, yeah, you want them to move on, but at the same time you're like, oh, you guys, oh, you shouldn't be doing this right now, but still, oh. Okay, there we go. We've now retouched up those. We're getting there. I think we are finally time for the washes. Ay, ay, ay. After promising to do it for like the last 15 minutes, I think we're finally there. We're also at the 50-minute mark, so this might go a little longer than usual, depending how long this... I think this is going to be just kind of real quickly, right over everything, real quickly, bam, right over everything, and kind of done. But I don't know. This is all theoretical, how this part is going to turn out. So hopefully, this part is nice. And that is very, very white. Okay, you didn't see it on the side, I'm sorry, but we just added a crikey ton more water to this. Alright, we're not going to do one big brush over all this stuff either. Yeah, I was hoping to kind of cover everything, but I don't think that way is the way to go. I think it's going to have to be a little more controlled and a little more on top of individual. Or we just kind of put it on and blot. Okay, if that's all it's going to be is put it on and blot, then I can go back to the bigger brush. It would have been nice if I had brought more paper towels down with me, rather than just have this one that's in really, really bad shape, but... Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can see on camera that it's doing. In real life, it's making a subtle difference. It's not doing much. It's very, very subtle. But that's kind of all I want. This is going to help, like I said, tie kind of these colors together a little bit. It's going to give a little uniformity. There is a hint of kind of shine in this when it's all done, because this is different. Okay, so I can put that one aside. Now, next color, like I said, we're going to add a little bit of the black one. And then I said we're going to add a little bit of the silver. And by that, I'm just going to do a couple drops of black. And quite a bit of water. I still think a dry powder flecking it on here is probably the play. I don't really need to clean this thing off. It's going to be fine. Okay, and this one, actually, even if darker goes into the grooves and whatnot, that seems fine to me. So we're just going to go right over. It seems like there's less pigment per water on this, so it's actually feeling okay. Well, we definitely have kind of a little more of a shiny look, but that's also because it's just wet. Maybe I can go and add just a touch more. Okay, I can see this isn't taking that much time, which is nice. Yeah. So next time I do this, I might, if I could find just like the powdered form, or just the pigment, to try the flecking kind of technique. So I'd be curious how that stacks up to doing it like this. But overall, this is kind of working. I'm kind of okay with that. Let's put you off to the side. As I said, I wanted to have just a touch of. Let me blow this real quick. I'm curious, once this dries, do I still have the sheen coming on here from the satin, or does that sheen disappear? Sheen disappears completely. Okay. So yeah, that sheen from that is completely gone. So I'm going to mix a little of the nickel one in here, because that's the metallic paint. And that should maybe give this thing just a little more shine, maybe. That's probably a lot of metallic paint for this. Oh, this is not going to want to mix very well. I can see it all just sank to the bottom. The others were kind of mixing in. You can see that is just a puddle in the bottom. Okay. All right, I see where this one's going. Yeah, because if anything, it might be nice to have a little bit of kind of sparkle to it. So it would be good if I can get this to impart some kind of sparkly to it. I don't want everything to read as flat, flat, flat. Alright, so what happens with you? Nothing, because I need more. It's like, yeah, you can come out. It's okay. I want you to come out. Yeah, again, this is where experiences come in handy. If I ever do this again, I kind of know, I'll have a better idea of how much water to pigment I need to add to do this. So, like I said, this is just kind of, we're learning. We're learning. Okay, this is adding, I can see that it's adding a little bit of color to the top of everything, so if that's the case, that might actually give it that little bit of a shine. It's like I don't need the full-fledged metallic kind of look, but just having a little bit of a shine. I think just being the pure flat matte look that I had is a little bit off, so I want to have a little bit of something going on. Okay, so that's that one. Oh, let's not spill stuff. Let's see what this one does. Burning my hand as I do this. That's awesome. It might have added just a teeny bit of something, but it's not adding much. But at the end, we do have a stone walkway. And I'm looking at the time, we're pretty well at the end. So what I'm thinking I might do is I may in the end go, again, this will be off camera between, I will very likely have that quote unquote super secret kind of final broadcast kind of going in live with this one as like the grand finale, kind of the send-off of the Bank Shishigami project here. But I might just go and kind of do a little finish on the edge, just so that white part is gone. And that would be about it. But otherwise, let me go get the man of the hour back here. We can't end on just looking at that. So let's go bring him back. You go there. Trying to find the holes again. Why does that one have problems going in there now? And there we go. We have that. Like I said, I'll touch up the side there. But at least there he is. He's now standing on top of a little cobblestone path. It kind of worked out. This is not the final image I wanted to have of him, so that's why we're going to do just kind of one more thing after. But there he is. This has been this has been a really fun project. Like I said before, I had a lot of good times with this one. And let me wash this out before I ruin a brush. I don't want to ruin a brush. Even though I'm rudely interrupting the final conclusion of the project. But some things just have to be done. But in terms of construction, in terms of building, in terms of, like I said, doing the modeling, doing the painting, doing the base stuff, like I said, I will just put the one more strip, but he's done. And this has been really, really fun. And I'm glad I was able to do this. I'm glad it, for the most part, I think this worked out on camera. Next time around, I may change a couple things here or there. But by and large, yeah, he looks like he belongs on that kind of road, on that kind of pathway. It doesn't jump out at you. It's a little kind of subtle that's there. So overall, I think this turns out nice. I just need to get rid of the white and do something down here to make that look good. But yeah, much fun was had with this. Like I said, I wasn't sure what to expect going into it. I'd never put one of these. I said I had done Rain from the Night Witch is on camera, but I kind of went and did the whole thing. It didn't upload it. This one, I think it was by session 5 is when I had started just literally uploading. So by then I was stuck. So like the project's only just starting, and I'm now committed at that point. So I wasn't sure. You kind of have that. I don't know if it's going to work out in the end. I don't know if things are going to be nice and whatnot. But overall, I think he came out pretty good. I'm happy. We're learning some stuff. We are getting better. The colors are getting better. This colorization kind of scheme, it seemed like it took a while to get it right there. But I think this wound up better than the previous two. So the more I'm doing the color stuff now, the more comfortable I am with it. I'm starting to get an idea of what I can and can't get away with. And so I'm seeing things that are working well, and I'm building from there. Like I said, on the modeling side, I have about 500 hours worth of experience just doing the modeling part, and I'm now at like 45 or so hours worth on this painting side of things. So I'm slowly building up my repertoire on the painting side of things, and I think that's going to be really good going forward. But yeah, there he is. There is Bang. He's got his big nail in the back. Some point in time we'll have better lighting than this, so we can actually see things the way they're meant to be seen. But yeah, no, I'll take this, and like I said, we're gonna expect the next stream or the next video will probably go up the same day. I'll probably have the 2 on Sunday. I will probably take Monday off and just not post a video Monday, and then hopefully, if all goes well, I'll start. Like I said, I have the as of tomorrow, theoretically, I should have the capture card, so I can start doing the gaming stuff, at least for a couple weeks, just to kind of wind down after this, and then figure in 2 weeks, 2 weeks as of Monday. So this is going up Sunday, so figure 2 weeks from the Monday on here, I'll start the next model. I'll start the Valkyria Chronicles model. So if you're in it just for that, hold tight, it will come. If you want to just have a good time and hang out for a little bit for a couple weeks while I kind of unwind, play the game again, I'll be playing one of the Valkyria Chronicles games. So you can get an idea, if you're not familiar with it, you can get an idea of the characters and just have a good time. So hopefully that will start Wednesday. And until then, enjoy.